So let's go back to the story. What's going on here? This is a recipe for programming the Pharaoh into separate identities. All three of these individuals, Ra, Osiris, Horus, represent different identities. Ra represents the virtuous hero, right? Osiris represents the passive victim. And Horus represents the vengeful child. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? So by doing these different rituals, I can get the Pharaoh to believe he's a different person in different circumstances. So while the Pharaoh is drugged up, the Pharaoh is dressed up as Ra, and he will take an effigy or a real person, and he will stab, burn, or strangle that person to feel as though you're a virtuous hero. And also what will happen is that the Pharaoh will then be asked to be Osiris. And guess what? The person will be put in a tomb, cut up, and have sex with a prostitute, okay? Pretending to be a priest. And then Horus will be, of course, this, okay? So this is all to create trauma, which creates disassociation, which allows the priest to program the Pharaoh. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So how this works is, while this is happening, there's the Pharaoh is under a lot of trauma, but there's always someone there to support the Pharaoh, and that's Isis, right? So there's a priest in the Isis mask using the Isis voice to calm the Pharaoh, even have sex with the Pharaoh to make the Pharaoh dependent on Isis. And now Isis becomes the controller, the person that the Pharaoh will always trust. So if the priests ever want to tell Pharaoh to do something, then late at night, while the Pharaoh is sleeping or on drugs, Isis, wearing the mask, can come in and whisper to Pharaoh what to do. Okay? And in the system, there are different ways in which the priest can use to activate the different identities. But the main mechanism is smell. Okay? Smell. And what this means is that while all this is happening, there are different scents for different identities. Okay? So for example, with Ra, it might be incense. Okay? But with Osiris, it might be, I don't know, roses. Who knows? Okay? But so what happens is when the Pharaoh is the throne room and the priest need the Pharaoh to make a certain decision, the priest will let out different scents, which will activate different emotions in the Pharaoh, which then determines how the Pharaoh will make the decision. Okay, so there's different control mechanisms. Okay, and what's important for us to understand is we're all like this, right? Because, for example, we have different identities. At school, we're a student, but at home, we're a child. When we're outside, we're friends, we're a friend. When we're at work, we're an employee. So we behave differently depending on the different circumstance. And the circumstance activates a certain emotion, certain identity, certain behavior, certain actions in us. Okay? So we're all programmable. But the Pharaoh has to be programmed to a certain degree.